The conceptual explanation of artistic work may be nothing more than a long and tedious way to avoid the substance. Plants have a similar survival strategy. A fruit consists of a hard seed, a core, that must be transferred as far as possible, and soft, sweet pulp. So let's get down to business right away. We would like to present to your attention a bubble. Empty bubble from a comic book is a medium without content. It can be interpreted as a graphic equivalent of an event, object, and a thought. When we take it apart, you will see that it consists of a circular media body and a tail that can be considered as a bundle of intentionality. We don't know what the empty bubble is telling us. If this idea is deployed, it will be possible to say that it's telling us about non-knowledge. In the substance of non-knowledge, we can expect any event. However, what is non-knowledge we do not know. We cannot depict it by any definition. We can only mark what is not non-knowledge. Absolutely everything that we can offer is not. It follows that this everything can be non-knowledge backward pointer. In our game, any object, event, and thought equally manifest the non-knowledge. As in the example, a picture on a paper is paper, and the paper is not the picture. In this case, the drawing is a manifestation of the paper, and it makes the empty paper field visible, introduces into it a special certainty. Painted bubble having no knowledge inside and outside. That's the primary instrument, opera operans in our game. Getting into the situation of suspension, the instrument is executed to self-denial, self-disclosure. The medium demonstrates its hidden nature. The precariousness and autonomy of an artistic act from any values creates conditions for the ethical gesture. We met in Venice in 2014. I was in the Russian national snowboard team preparing for the Olympic Games. Leopard was the creative director of the Russian pavilion at the Expo in Milan. We threw our things into the Venetian lagoon and went to Nepal. Since then, we are on a permanent journey, not living long in one place. Once in Budapest, we found on the bank of Danube 2 stones.
Я тут держу в руках кусочек каменной породы небольшого размера, где-то сантиметр в диаметре, желтого цвета с серыми прожилками. Можно сказать, что это сгусток каменной породы, либо некая совокупность молекул, кристаллов, либо просто вихрь какой-то. Вот. И я сейчас его положу рядом с другим таким же объектом. В каждом из них существует множество разных качеств, то есть качество круглости, качество твердости, качество похожести на сыр, например, вот, или на что-то еще. Но в том числе они похожи на камень. То есть сказать определенно, что это камень, мы не можем, потому что камень — это объект разговора, объект речи. Но когда они находятся вместе, они явно усиливают друг в друге значение камня, и они указывают друг на друга.
We studied for their interaction, playing with the meaning and score. We found out that there are 3 types of stones. The stones, things like the stones, and things not like the stones. As a result, we developed a topological matrix in which the stones acting as variables for suspended objects in the role of a blank media. Imagine a chain of events where the matrix unfolds not in space but consistently as it happens in time. We will get a series of successive unfolding events that are related equally to non-knowledge and have a different ontological temporal status pertaining to each other, and arbitrarily taking present marks neighboring events like the past and the future. In our suspended artificial system, the past event arises on the background of non-knowledge and acts as a background for the present, and the future is vague in the non-knowledge. If we try to count the number of stones that are available in each episode of the temporal system in general, we will get the number 6. Events unfolding as the background for following events form a spatial body, which we call the cucumber of time. In addition to the layers of events nested inside each other, the cucumber of time carries within it an element of non-knowledge. Like the bubble, it has the non-knowledge inside and outside. The topological matrix of the 6 stones, as well as the cucumber of time, became the basic for our work on the Bubble Opera. Bubble Opera is a series of performative installations implemented by Rabota on the basis of HFG ZKM Karlsruhe, Germany, combined with the help of the abstract topology of time and its every moment experience during 2017-2018. The integrity of the Bubble Opera as an event consisting of performative, exploring, discussion, and other processes occurring during 1 year is achieved using a virtual object in which the time and spatial topology come from the overtone proportional nature of sound using proportionality in the role of the universal transdiscursive mediator. Dividing the year with a ruler of a simple proportions into 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 parts, we organized a series of events and the nodal points. Each of them was devoted to one aspect of the triad: disclosure, suspension, representation. For example, the 6 stones corrida was conducted on January 6, 2018 at the point 125, which corresponds to the major third on the table of overtones. If you take the time of the 6 stones for present, the past event will be the conference tools of disclosure. It was held on December 15, 2017 at the 127 point, the minor septima. The event belonging to the future is Samothrace. It took place on January 29, 2017 at the point 124, which corresponds to the second octave of the overtone series. Thus, events placed on the timeline of 1 year create a chord. This was a quite nice and enough complex conceptual explanation of our work, so we could finally get down to the point.
We stuck in Barcelona out of money. We needed to cure scabies. At night in the zoo we undressed, smeared with a special gel and waited for it to soak into the skin. It was a fantastic night with parrots and cicadas. Summer was hot, and when the automatic irrigational system of the zoo started to work, we got wet instantly. We hung our clothes on the trees around the brightly lit empty dance arena in the center of the zoo and then climbed on it. We had a large piece of paper and we painted on it with mascara and palm leaves. Were we robbed already? Yes, indeed. It turns out that the most accurate and subtle statements about our observations objectify in most scarce and unspectacular artifacts the stolen things. Nepal think brush, China brushes for calligraphy, fishing bells, perfume, keys from the Moscow flat, MacBook Air, knitted top from Goa, leggings from Venice China shop, pink folder with copies of Common Body, Magic Mold attacks Paris, collage on a map, rental contract of a studio in Dresden, Marika's new diary, gift for mother, jewelry, golden chain, copper bracelet, one ring with diamonds, another ring with a moonstone, ankle bracelet, pearl necklace, chain with a turquoise turtle, sandals, folder with copies, lectures on ancient philosophy from Mirab Mamardashvili, herbarium. The events of that night are still setting the scale of our work, and we are still between the extended body and occasion in a space of a dance arena. We are addicted to the game while someone picking up our things. This burden with which we tend to identify ourselves doesn't really belong to us, but only serves to pull our personality. that metaphorically also produced a particular sound. Having once disassembled the world and ourselves up to the hilt, we are engaged in a redefining and reassembling the new integrity without losing the sense of suspense in the space of the whistling draft. We have been in a state of the permanent journey for 4 years, then the amount of personal possession has long been reduced to the required minimum, which could always be rapidly collected and taken as a hand luggage on the plane. Now all these things are bounded and suspended on the strings. Few of them are hanged on objects as a weight, providing the necessary tension for pulling the sound. The horses went down the steep path, stone poured, there was frost. The Spanish border guard put a stamp in our passport and we went further to the territory of Andorra, at the nearest stop, to take the bus back to Spain. Next was the plane from Barcelona. Back in Karlsruhe in illegal status, we began establishing a performative installation in the large hall of the museum. We hung our things like a load on the strings, connected the wire, adjusted the software. From the very beginning, from the 0 point, we recreate the world abandoned to die in the fractal infinity of history. We cancel the whole account and return to the beginning to personally participate in the creation of the world during the autonomous drift.